Karen Grassle was the soul of Little House on the Prairie. Together with Michael Landon, they created a perfect family image beloved by all audiences. Yet behind the camera, something always existed, not a close professional relationship, not even friendship. Karen Grassle always kept silent, off-set, backstage, and even decades later. Despite this tormenting her for a long time. Now, at 82, she has finally bravely faced the truth, revealing what Michael Landon did to her during the filming of Little House on the Prairie. Why stay silent for so many decades? Why always endure it? All will be revealed right here. Michael Landon's absolute power on set. To better understand what Karen Grassle had to face, it's essential to recognize Michael Landon's almost absolute role and power during the production of Little House on the Prairie. Landon was not merely the main star, playing the beloved Ma Ingalls. His position on set extended far beyond that of a typical actor. Michael Landon was the pioneer of the entire project. He created the show, while also holding many other crucial roles such as writer, executive producer, and sometimes even directing episodes himself. This meant Landon held complete creative control and the final decision-making power over every aspect of the show, from the script and casting to the overall direction of each episode. He managed all production activities, from the smallest details to major strategic decisions. In such a working environment, the balance of power between Landon and other crew members, especially the actors, was almost non-existent. His position was so immense that no one could truly challenge or contradict his decisions. Everyone understood that Michael Landon was the boss, and his word was law. This comprehensive control and concentrated power created an environment where abuse of power, whether intentional or unintentional, could easily occur without much resistance. This is a key factor in explaining why Karen Grassle felt trapped and compelled to endure what she described as seriously demeaning behaviors. The onset of abuse and Karen's decision to stay silent. The relationship between Karen Grassle and Michael Landon, along with his treatment of her, shifted noticeably when the issue of salary arose. This marked the beginning of what Karen described as seriously demeaning behavior. In the early seasons of Little House on the Prairie, despite being the lead actress and an indispensable part of the show, Karen Grassle was paid significantly less than Michael Landon and even some of her male co-stars. This was a common but unfortunate reality in the entertainment industry at the time, particularly for women. As the show became immensely popular and a resounding success, Karen, as a professional actress and a pillar of the series, felt entitled to request a more appropriate salary. She voiced her request for a pay raise, a perfectly reasonable demand given the circumstances. However, Michael Landon's reaction was far from welcoming or supportive. Instead of fair consideration, his attitude turned negative and cold. According to Karen's account, it was at this point that things took a turn for the worse. Landon's treatment of her became, as she described, seriously demeaning. Karen clearly felt that she was being punished for daring to speak up, for daring to negotiate for her own rights. This incident was not merely a financial dispute, it was a chilling reminder of the profound power imbalance on set. From that moment, Karen began to realize that advocating for herself or demanding fairness could come at the cost of her career and respect. This feeling of being punished for speaking out compelled her to choose silence, hoping to preserve her position in a notoriously harsh industry. Unacceptable psychological attacks. After Karen Grassle dared to speak up for her rights, Michael Landon began to express his dissatisfaction through subtle, yet profoundly demeaning behaviors on set. These actions not only affected her professional role, but also deeply impacted Karen's mental and emotional well-being. One of Landon's methods of punishment was through quietly altering the script. Scenes were rewritten differently, or deeply emotional moments that Caroline Ingalls' character was meant to portray were cut. Karen's role was gradually diminished, just enough to make a mark, enough for the audience to recognize her, but not enough for her to fully showcase her acting abilities or for her character to have the same influence as before. This made Karen feel she was being stripped of opportunities to shine and demonstrate her capabilities. Not stopping at the script, Landon also used vulgar or inappropriate language directed at Karen. Notably, these comments were often made even during intimate scenes between the two characters, frequently accompanied by a perplexing smirk. Such remarks not only undermined professionalism on set, but also made Karen feel offended and disrespected. Some comments made her feel small and disregarded, as if her value was deliberately diminished. A prime example of this behavior, as recounted by Karen, occurred during a romantic on-screen kissing scene. During rehearsal, everything proceeded normally, in line with the scene's intent. However, once the cameras started rolling, Landon abruptly changed his tone. He reportedly turned the kiss into an exaggerated and fake performance, entirely different from what had been rehearsed. For Karen, this action was more than just unprofessionalism. It felt like a cold, direct message from Landon: "You are replaceable." It was a subtle warning, a display of power meant to remind her of her place and vulnerability in the industry if she dared to cross the boss. These behaviors, though seemingly minor individually, collectively created immense psychological pressure, gradually forcing Karen Grassle into a state of acceptance and silence to protect her job. Why Karen Grassle always remained silent. Facing the demeaning behaviors from Michael Landon, Karen Grassle's decision not to give up, but to continue enduring and remaining silent for many years, was a complex one, stemming from various personal factors and professional pressures. Firstly, Karen had learned to endure, a skill many women in Hollywood at the time were forced to accept to survive. She understood how hard she had worked to get the role of Ma Ingalls, a fateful role that changed her life. Leaving the role would mean giving up a golden opportunity that not everyone gets, especially for an actress over 30. She knew how deeply Little House on the Prairie resonated with millions of fans worldwide, and disrupting the set could ruin the show's image in the public eye. Furthermore, in the 1970s, it was incredibly rare for a woman over 30 to maintain her position in primetime television. Karen feared being labeled difficult or a troublemaker, a label that could destroy her entire career. In an industry already harsh and male-dominated, speaking out against a powerful man like Michael Landon, who was beloved by audiences, protected by producers, and wielded too much power to be challenged, was almost professional suicide. She understood that she was up against an overwhelmingly strong force, and choosing silence seemed to be the only path to continue her career. Unveiling the whole truth. For decades, Karen Grassle's silence about what happened on the set of Little House on the Prairie was a heavy burden. She carried it as a personal secret, performing and smiling for the public without ever letting the world see her in a turmoil. However, at the age of 80, a crucial decision was made. She would write a memoir. Embarking on the book, titled Bright Lights, Prairie Dust forced her to confront the past, freeing herself from the weight of disrespect, imbalance, and humiliation she had endured. The initial purpose of the memoir was to explore Karen's entire life, not merely to focus on conflicts with Michael Landon or to discredit him. She wanted to tell her story authentically, from her beginnings to the pinnacle of her career and the challenges she overcame. Yet, as she began to write, memories of her time working on Little House on the Prairie vividly flooded back. In particular, the painful recollections related to Landon's treatment of her became clear and unavoidable. Karen realized there was a truth she couldn't avoid in her story. It was how Landon had treated her and how deeply it had hurt her. Publicly disclosing these details was not easy. It required immense courage to face old wounds and shatter the publicly constructed image of a perfect television show and its perfect people. However, she understood that, for her story to be truly complete and authentic, addressing these issues was imperative. The final effort towards reconciliation. As painful memories of Michael Landon's treatment resurfaced during her memoir writing process, Karen Grassle realized a truth she couldn't avoid. To truly heal and complete her story, she needed to confront the wounds that had been inflicted. This led to an unexpected and deeply meaningful act. She decided to write a letter to Michael Landon. The timing of Karen's letter was incredibly sensitive. Michael Landon had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in 1991, and he passed away later that year. She didn't know if he would still be alive to read it, or if he would choose to read it. This letter was not an accusation, a condemnation, or an attack. On the contrary, Karen called it a peace letter. In it, she expressed gratitude for the opportunity to work with him, acknowledged his talent and vision, and, subtly but powerfully, forgave him for the actions that had caused her pain. Karen didn't expect a reply. Her primary goal was to find release for herself, to close a painful chapter in her life, and to find peace. However, unexpected news arrived. Someone from Landon's team contacted her and informed her that Michael had read her letter. And what's more, he cried. This was one of the last communications Landon received before his passing. Michael Landon's tears upon reading Karen's letter indicated a rare moment of recognition and possibly remorse on his part. For Karen, it was a validation, a sign that her message of peace had been received. The letter was not only a courageous act of forgiveness, but also a testament to a desire for reconciliation, even when time was running out. When Karen Grassle's memoir, Bright Lights, Prairie Dust, was released, it didn't ignite a love-at-first-sight sensation with sensational headlines or noisy scandals like many other celebrity autobiographies. Instead, her revelations emerged authentically, like a powerful whisper. Readers trusted Karen, and loyal fans of Little House on the Prairie supported her, appreciating the honesty she brought. However, truth always has its power. Those who had idolized Michael Landon began to see cracks in the legend. Karen's story forced them to confront a reality far more complex than the perfect image they had envisioned. More importantly, Karen Grassle's breaking of silence created a domino effect. Other former cast members and crew, who had previously remained silent for reasons similar to Karen's, began to speak out. They publicly or privately confirmed what Karen had recounted, about Landon's fiery temper, how he used humor as a sharp weapon, and his tendency to criticize publicly, especially towards women. Melissa Gilbert, who played Laura Ingalls Wilder, had also hinted at these conflicts in previous interviews, but Karen's story made the picture clearer and more specific. Karen Grassle's honesty forced a profound re-evaluation of Michael Landon's legacy. He is no longer solely perceived as a model father figure or a talented filmmaker. Instead, he emerges as a complex character, intelligent, ambitious, but also with many flaws. This story has opened an important dialogue about power in the entertainment industry, about whether creative geniuses should be allowed to cross ethical boundaries in their treatment of others, and about the role of silence in perpetuating negative behaviors. Karen's legacy and her journey to finding closure. Karen Grassle's decision to publicly share her story wasn't about erasing Michael Landon's memory or destroying his legacy. Instead, she broadened it, forcing the public to acknowledge both his visionary, talented side and his cruel, disrespectful side. She wasn't seeking sympathy or pity. She craved accuracy, truth, and wanted to offer fans an honest look at what transpired. Karen's story quickly became a symbol for countless other women who had been silenced by power and injustice, but who now found the strength to speak out. Her memoir isn't just a personal account, but a call to action. She leveraged the book's influence to advocate for mental health and promote fairer treatment of women in the entertainment industry. Karen Grassle emerges not as a victim or a bitter actress, but as a resilient survivor. Her story is a powerful call for accountability, a reminder that silence can be a strategy for survival in a harsh environment. But ultimately, truth is the real liberation. She remained silent for decades, performing and smiling, never letting the world see her breakdown, bearing the burden of disrespect, imbalance, and humiliation. Now, at 82, Karen is no longer protecting a legend, but reclaiming her own truth. She has allowed this entire complex story to finally be seen, bringing justice not only to herself, but also to those who have suffered and continue to suffer in similar circumstances. Her journey is a testament to the power of truth and the healing it brings. You have just followed a deeply moving and meaningful story about Karen Grassle's courage and her journey to finding truth. If you found this content helpful and wish to continue exploring fascinating stories, untold hidden corners, and insightful analyses of cinema, life, or any other topic, don't hesitate. Subscribe to our channel today to ensure you don't miss any new videos or articles. Hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to always stay updated with our latest content. Your support is a huge motivation for us to continue creating